Everybody, welcome back.
All right, welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Providence. This is two absolute superstar teams that are going to be going against each other here. Martin Yuza, Ben Stark, Hohen Nakamura on the right versus Richard Hohen, Andrew Cunio, and Eugene Harvey on the left. The match we're starting with is Ben Stark, it looks like, on the right-hand side. He's playing against Andrew Cunio. Now remember, these guys drafted against each other as well in a lot of ways. I know that's a weird way to say that, but they really did. It's a fight at the draft table as you're cutting things, trying to figure out what the other players at the table are doing, and at the same time make yourself have a reasonable deck. All right, so a fencing ace is going to kick things off for Ben Stark. Let's see if there's a turn 2 play from Cunio. There is not.
Yeah, Ben getting off to a really fast start with this fencing ace. It looks like he's another 2-drop in his hand also.
Yeah, I saw he has a Boros Mastiff in his hand. I wonder if he's got a 3 as well, though. That would be pretty ideal here. Some of the best curve outs in Limited are 2-drop, 3-drop, 2-2-drops. It can be pretty overwhelming if your opponent doesn't do much. Currently, Andrew hasn't done much, but he could be representing a few things here. Executioner swing is possible.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to speak with Ben Stark after this draft, and he was pretty happy with his deck. He has a 2-color deck, which is what he said he wants to be in a format like this. He has removal, and he has a healthy number of creatures. He has a lot of 2-drops. Unfortunately, he doesn't think his card quality is that high. His removal's good. He has a lot of 2-drops. He's a 2-color deck. He thinks it's definitely capable of 2-0, but he's worried that he might just get outpowered.
All right, it is a 3-drop, and it's a really, really nice one, too. Dead Reveler, a 3-4. It's a real handful. All right, get in there for 5 potentially here. Andrew Cunio still no plays yet. And here it is. Electrickery is going to take down the fencing ace. It's still 3 damage, though, coming at him, and it's just a 1-for-1. And here's a Rakdos Drake. So another evasive attacker here. Pretty darn good when you're ahead. We do see that Ben missed his land drop, though.
I mean, when you're going 3-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop, it's not the end of the world to be missing a land drop here.
That's true. All right, and that's an aerial predation. Pretty nasty. The main deck aerial predation. You don't see it every time, but it is a card that people like to play. Takes out the Rakdos Drake, so pretty ideal. There is 4th land, though. And there it is, the two 2-drops play that I had talked about before. It's a turn late, but still pretty darn nice. Let's see if Andrew can help stabilize the board. If he casts a 5-drop, well, nope, he just passes the turn back. Cunio loves passing the turn back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's just kind of been forced to here, though. But
I mean, now he might be representing something like Advent of the Worm, even. So it's going to be difficult to play around everything here, but it's at least eyes in the skies. So.
I see that, I hear that Ben Stark is asking his opponents, did we see a Punish the Enemy?
Yeah, he might have something like Knightly Val in his hand, and that's probably something that Ben won't jam that here. His opponent has 5 open mana and still has a grip full of cards. So you don't really want to go ahead and use an enchant creature at a point like this because it gives your opponent the opportunity to 2-for-1 you. But all things considered, he just wants to know what all the possibilities are when he attacks. Ideally, he would have instant speed removal here, but he can't just, if he doesn't have it, then he can't just attack with everything unless he wants to get blown out by Advent or something else.
A lot of discussion here with Ben Stark. He's really thinking through what he wants to play this on. Unless there's a card that does 2. There's a card that does 2. If there isn't an instant shock, that is a charm. They're talking about Abrupt Decay, is a charm, all these different options. Is a charm not really possible here as Andrew doesn't have it.
If there are cards to change. Obviously, if he plays a flyer or something. You know, whatever. Just do it.
Can hear.
Punish the enemy, but like you said, he doesn't have one. I don't know. I'm gonna cast this. I guess we're there.
So Ben says, I'm going to cast this. I just haven't decided what it's on
yet. You had trickery, so I should have played it. Then you had the aerial prediction, so it's like, good. I didn't
All right, we get a nice wide shot here. There's Ben Stark in the middle trying to decide what he wants to do against Andrew. He's been talking. Ben's been asking Martin Yuza. Eventually, Martin said, whatever, just do it on what you think you should do it on. All right, he ended up just putting it on the Dead Reveler, the safest target for it. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage here, dropping Andrew Cunio down to 6. That's going to put Ben Stark up to 26, it looks like. Oh, yeah, right, because he gets another 2 from the Boros Mastiff as well. And here's a big turn. Can Andrew Cunio get himself out of this mess? Well, an Angelic Skirmisher will help. He's not dead.
No, he's not. The Angelic Skirmisher cannot block this Reveler. The Reveler is, at this point, a 4/5 flyer.
4/5 flyer. So Ben Stark feels like he made a great decision now that he put that thing on the Reveler, because otherwise that Angelic Skirmisher would blank everything.
Yeah, now he can go to combat and
he can attack with everybody, right?
Well, he has to wait to see what the Skirmisher names, because the Skirmisher names
right.
Lifelink. He only wants to attack with the Reveler
You're
and put
right.
his opponent to 2.
Totally. And that happens at the beginning of combat.
Yep.
Okay, here's so what you see here is Martin Yuza reaching over Ben Stark and saying, "Shuhei, I'm playing first. Do I keep this?" Oh man, this is good stuff. But I do appreciate getting a chance to see this because it really does show the teamwork that this team's displaying. They're not sitting there as 3 like pillars of limited. They're definitely open to suggestion. They're definitely open to asking questions against each other.
And Knightly Valor, that's pretty huge here.
Wow, so Knightly Valor is going to go a long way to stabilizing, though he's going to need to get in there with this thing and give it lifelink first to get back up to 8. And it looks like Andrew Cunio may have stabilized this board now. Ben Stark has got to find a way to get that thing out of the way.
He has Grizzly Spectral and
wow, and this is a pit fight too?
Wow.
What a devastating turn for Andrew Cunio. Remember, the Skirmisher still has lifelink too.
Yeah.
So he's gained 12 life this turn to go back up to 14. And now he's essentially fully stabilized versus 3 measly 2/2s. What a huge turn of events here.
Round 5 are now being posted. That's Two-Headed Giant for playmats. Round 5 pairings are now posted.
Angelic Skirmisher, a very, very real Magic card.
Okay, an extort is going to be paid for from a Court Street Denizen. Now, that can help quite a bit here. Court Street Denizen with a string of white creatures can actually help power through a good amount of damage.
Unfortunately, Andrew's gaining 6 a turn.
He's going to be gaining 6 a turn, and
he
it's
has
really just not enough.
You know, there's no way to attack into it either. I mean, it's...
No. So do we assume that if he's attacking with his 9...
And he just lifelink.
He's life-linked, okay. So back up to 21 for Andrew Cunio here. And there's going to be a trade here with a Gutter Skulk for a Knight token. All right, so Ben Stark has him down to just 1 creature left on the battlefield, but it is an insanely good one. And let's make that 2 with the Ruination Worm. So Andrew Cunio has just gone completely over the top here, right? I mean, he has taken this game from him being significantly behind on the verge of death, and now he's just playing much bigger, much more powerful spells every turn.
Yeah, he survived for long enough, and now he's going bigger.
Definitely Auger Spree and an Island Fire.
See, Ben must be in a pretty rough way at this point. I mean, Ben is somebody who always advocates never playing more than 2 6-drops or 7-drops in your limited decks, things like that. And sometimes it works. Of course, having Angelic Skirmisher as the 6-drop and then Knightly Valoring it is a pretty nice.
Kind of interesting, I heard Ben Stark talking to Martin Yuza about Richard Hohen's deck. And he had some predictions. He's talking about the Robo Belt Maka and also talking about the Annihilating Fire and Auger Sprees that went through Ben. We got to see that firsthand when we watched Richard Hohen's draft.
Yeah, so
not a lot going on except for
Ben just getting chunked away by these massive monsters.
So that's going to put Cunio from 2 to 34 now.
Yeah, in a matter of 3 turns, he went from 2 life to 34 life.
Yeah. Angelic Skirmisher really is one of the best 6 drops in the format. All right, and Ben Stark, he's going to play it out. You know, he's got the Concordia Pegasus. He's going to use it to tap down the Skirmisher.
He has removal that can kill that Skirmisher, and once he gets the Skirmisher off the board, he's not completely dead.
No, he's not. He is facing down a Ruination Worm, unfortunately, but also there's some life linking there.
It by no means looks good for Ben, but...
So 40 for Andrew Cunio. Ben Stark goes down to 2. Wow, Tristani's Summoner, a.k.a. the nails in the coffin here, most likely. Can't think of too many cards that get Ben Stark out of this situation. And he says, you know, don't bother searching for those tokens, buddy. I'm just going to scoop these cards up. So we saw a typical aggressive start, and it was rebuked by the late game of a slower deck. All right, let's move down to Richard Hohen versus Martin Yuza here. So we get to see some of the cards that we saw Hohen play, and he did in fact play the Frostburn Weird. We expected that, but it looks like it's been lashed down by 1,000 lashes. But nevertheless, there's a 4/4 and a 3/2 on the board, although right now they're staring down a Maze Sentinel and a Dagger Drome Imp.
So,
taking a look at Martin Yuza's graveyard, he's got a Skinbrand Goblin, a Horror of the Dim, and a Surge there, a Weapon Surge. Huh. Well, there's a Riot Piker. Do you think it's just going to block here, or?
I mean, he wanted it, so it's got to do something, right?
Yeah. Ooh, interesting question. Martin Yuza just said, does he have Ground Assault in his deck? We know that he does. Not necessarily in his hand, but we know that he does have it. That would make a lot of sense. Why run out the Riot Piker if you didn't have a way to just kill that Maze Sentinel, right? You'll get a look at Martin Yuza on the far left side of your screen there. Doing some deep thinking here. Rich Hohen giving Andrew Cunio some advice on a mulligan situation.
Hey, Richie. Oh man, I would love to team up at a limited GP with Richie. How much fun would that be? It's just...
So like, you can eat the Piker if you're on that, but it's not going to be able to attack through that in the future. I'll just make it a 3/3, that's fine. That's better.
Okay, so it looks like Martin has come up with a decision here.
He's going to cast Xava.
Yeah, and I think he's just going to make it into a 3/3.
Yeah.
It still has First Strike. It still has haste.
Still has Vigilance thanks to Maze Sentinel.
And it has Vigilance as well thanks to Maze Sentinel. Wow. So
yeah, the fact that it's a 3/3 First Striker with Vigilance is super, super strong.
I agree. And it looks like Richard Hohen says, well, I'm not going to be able to attack with this thing now no matter what, even if I kill the Maze Sentinel, so I'm just going to chump block here. Otherwise, it's just going to get eaten. All right, there's a Dagger Drome Imp life total change there as well. So let's see if can we see if Richard Hohen actually has that Ground Assault in his hand?
I can't see right now. Right now it looks like a Battering Crisis.
Is it Borbrigmoth? No, there's the Ground Assault. So he did in fact have it. Good read by Martin Yuza. He played accordingly, and he prevented himself from taking a bunch of damage that turn as a result. All right, attack you for 1 in the air. And there's that Rectos key rune that we saw during the draft portion. It ended up in Martin Yuza's deck.
And look how hard that puts the brakes on for Richie. I mean, just that 3/1 first strike. It is not very quietly the best key rune.
Yeah, that's true. And it's also, and Martin does have the mana to activate it thanks to that clue stone in the guild gate there.
Means he has something very specific in his hand, probably, or a specific game plan.
Yeah, Martin's mana, very nice. He can activate the key rune if he needs to. And as a result, Richie probably won't attack, which will let him sacrifice the clue stone.
Remember, Martin Yuza is attacking in the air with the dagger drum imp, which is bolstering his life total, but also the 1,000 lashes is pinging away at Rich Hohen.
Sunday Standard. You have 5 minutes in which to dispute any of these final standings.
Wow, Udvara Hellkite here for Martin Yuza. That is one big bad dragon.
It's a dragon. That card was going around pretty late, and I understand that's expensive. And
yeah, I mean, it costs as much as Borborygmos. They're both 8, right?
Well, Rurk Thar does a good job of fighting that Hellkite.
After seeing how your next build cheap removal,
UT.
not slow at all.
You felt like I came out too fast for you with the first creature on turn 6?
Yeah.
What were you hoping for?
There it is right there. Whenever dragon you control attacks, put a 6/6 red creature token, so he can...
Oh, it's not when it deals combat damage,
no,
it's just when it attacks.
No, so he can ship it in there, he can trade it off for Rurk Thar if that's the way, you know, that it goes, which it looks like it will be, and he'll still have a 6/6 dragon sitting there on the battlefield waiting for him.
Hey, I mean, you beat my fast start on the play, so my hand was really good.
I'd roast it.
That is just brutal.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what can Richie do at this point? He gets, you know, gets the trade with the dragon, and Martin just gets another 6/6 flyer for free. You know, Martin gets to swing both these still because, I mean, obviously, if Richie decides to block the dagger turn him instead of the dragon, then
he'll
Martin
have
just
a
goes
6/6 and another 6/6 next turn. Yeah.
The next turn he gets to make 4 of them. Or he gets to make 2 and then 4, and you don't really need to make more than 8 dragons.
Yeah.
I mean, that can kill that somewhere.
So we hear Ben Stark consulting with Martin Yuza, and they're talking about, well, look, let's not lose to something like Traitorous Instinct. Mizia Mortar's overloaded to completely, he's going to take 6 and go to 10, but that's going to kill the 3 creatures that are not Rurk Thar. And it means though that the Udvara Hellkite must be blocked by Rurk Thar here.
Yes.
What's his life? 9. So he has to block the 6 now.
And then it looks like Ben Stark just said the same. He's like, wait, so that means he has to block it. So here's a trigger.
Maybe don't send the dagger drum.
We are able to write you out at the right of the stage where you signed up. Please head up to the assignment stage.
All right, they're being a little. So they're considering. They're considering not attacking with the dagger drone up here.
Yeah, I guess if you're bringing in the Maze Sentinel, I didn't realize he had Mizium Mortars in hand.
Yeah, me neither.
You don't need that one.
So that goblin is actually a 6/6 flying dragon, and Mayor Martin fixes that for us. So this Hellkite is going to have to be blocked as Rich Hohen is completely tapped out here, and that's exactly lethal damage. So he takes 3.
I don't know how.
Hellkite down. And he's going to pass the turn. So can Rich Hohen find anything to interact with this insane board that Martin Yuza has? He cannot. And Martin Yuza goes up 1-0 over Richard Hohen. We know that Andrew Cunio is also up a game over Ben Stark.
Well, that guy was dying, but I was trying to say.
Looks like both of the other matches are also in the shuffle sideboard portion. This happens a lot when we get into our team events, I think, in a large part, because when you're in the middle of shuffling and sideboarding, it's really easy to look over at what your opponent's doing and start getting involved with that.
Yeah.
Just kind of blindly shuffling your deck and you're talking, and next thing you know, you're both on there. All right, looks like we have another quick start here for Ben Stark, a 2-drop. It's a Tavern Swindler versus a Gatecreeper Vine. Card you and I talked about yesterday, Jake. We both think that this card was good before, and now it's just great.
Yeah, it definitely got a lot better.
All right, there's a 3-drop here, and it is Dead Reveler. A very good start here for Ben Stark. A 2-drop and a 3-drop. Let's see if he has a play on the next turn. But Andrew Cuneo, Andrew Cuneo has nothing really relevant here quite yet. He went and got just a Plains, signaling that he probably wants to play a 3-drop with white mana here. As if he's got a Guild Gate and he was worried about that, he would probably get those. So maybe something like a Centaur Healer. What's it going to be? There it is, Centaur Healer.
Precisely what it is. A very good 3-drop in the spot.
Yep. Very solid, although the Dead Reveler can still attack with impunity here, and certainly will be. Is that a Smite?
It is a Smite.
Okay. I see that, yeah, here's the attack, and it looks like Ben Stark is going to save. He's got an Azorius Justiciar in his hand too, but I think he's going to wait until he can blank out 2, quote, real blockers here. If he has any other play, I see he's got an Eyes in the Skies. You might want to wait on that. He did indeed. He passed a turn back. And there's 3 damage coming across with the Centaur Healer. Ben Stark takes the 3. And is there a 4-drop in hand for Cuneo? Well, it looks like another 2. And there's a Greenside Watcher. No gate on the battlefield here. And end step, Ben Stark says, I'm going to make an Eyes in the Skies. So there's 2 bird tokens, not to be confused with worm tokens here.
And now
so
Ben can
if Ben wants to pull the trigger on the Justiciar, he can, but he's not. He's just going to ship the whole team in and offer the trade. There's a trade taken here. So 3. Oh, is it Electrickery? There was an Electrickery as well, which is going to clear away those 2 bird tokens. And there was another trade, but Fencing Ace post-combat means that it doesn't get eaten up by the Electrickery, so that's nice.
Yeah, very nice play there.
Yeah, if Ben Stark can find a way to get Fencing Ace's power up a bit, things could get ugly. Wow, there is the big devastating tempo play that we've seen time and time again. Knightly Valor, turning that Centaur Healer into a 5/5, but it's going to get blocked and smitten, and the leaving behind just a Knight token. So that's a nice turn of events there for Ben Stark.
I believe it's Smote in this case, right?
Smoten. I like it. All right, so let's see if Ben can bounce back and get that Fencing Ace to above 1 power.
If he can do that, then he can just start plowing through the night.
Just jamming here. We know that the Dead Reveler can attack here safely, but the question is, can Ben find a way to get that Fencing Ace to be a more potent threat? Because Fencing Ace has double strike, and while it can hit for 2, that's okay. It's not ideal. You really would prefer to have that power be 2 or maybe 3, and to start really getting in, because I think he's going to, he's just got to use his Justiciar here and get in there for 5. It's still a nice damage hit. It still develops his board and prevents any type of crackback by that Knight, but you're kind of hoping to, when you play that, to get that big punch in,
Yeah, you're looking for more value than just 5 damage.
That's right. But you'll take it. Oh, no. Here it is. Scab Clan Giant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have a nice straightforward roll. It's going to take out Fencing Ace here. Scab Clan Giant's been a pretty consistent 2-for-1 out here since we've been watching these matches all weekend. There's a fifth land
really
here,
good
and it looks like it's going to get Angelic Edicted here. And there it goes. That's going to prompt 2 attacks. And Cunio doesn't want to trade the Knight for the Justiciar, it looks like. He's just going to take 5.
Huh?
It wasn't still detained or anything, right? No?
No.
Oh, no, he is blocking. Okay, he is going to block. So is Cuneo's life total actually 5 then? Ooh, and Cuneo just passes the turn back. So Ben Stark on the verge of victory here. He was at 10, so he was not at 5, but that does bring him down to 7. It's a 2/3 flying Rakdos Drake. And Cuneo,
pretty nice
and Ben Stark has nice pressure here. Yeah, here we go. Hit you for 5, and it happens. And there's Night Watch as well to bring in 2 Vigilance Knights, and he is representing lethal damage multiple times over. Cunio needs a big stabilizer here. I think one more card left for Ben Stark. 2 in hand for Andrew Cunio. I don't think his life total is 10 though, right?
And it looks like Andrew.
Yeah, and Andrew
had
scooped.
enough.
His life total was not 10. It was like 3 or 2.
Yeah, after those last few attacks.
Yeah, so there we go. Ben Stark equalizes 1 game apiece. Him and Andrew Cunio are tied up. Nobody's won their match yet. Eugene Harvey did get the first game over Hohen Nakamura, though, on table C. Let's go to C. Let's see Hohen
what's
play
up
a little
with
bit.
Hohen and Eugene.
Hohen and Eugene. All right. Hohen on the right-hand side of your screen there. He's got a Crown Ceratok, a Drake-Wing Krasis, and a Crawl Warrior on his side. So that looks like a really great 2-3-4. But he is facing down a 4 and a 5 in the form of a Tower Indrik and the card that we've seen over and over and over again this weekend, an Armored Wolf Rider. It's just been putting in massive work, and now it's holding off a really nice Simic opening for Hohen Nakamura here.
Back in the day, like there was just like so many good like 2-3 mana removal spells that pretty much killed whatever.
So Eugene needs to.
There's no reason to be on play.
Yeah, it doesn't really need to do much at this point because the Wolf Rider lets him hide behind anything. He just, at this point, he really wants to have the deck that's more powerful in the long game because they're going to make it there.
All right, and there's an Opale Gatekeepers to further shore up the ground here and also draw him a card thanks to the Simic Guildgate and the Celestia Guildgate on his battlefield there. Ooh, a swamp off the top there for Hohen, so he seems to have got a little splash going here. Getting rid of the Tower Indrik would be a nice start to start beating down with that Drake-Wing Krasis. And man, that Armored Wolf Rider is just brutal against the Crown Ceratok. Hohen just has to play an island and say go.
I would try and convince you, but it's unnecessary because we can't go back 10 years. So nowadays, you don't have to draw ever.
So at this point, it's pretty much a stalemate. Hohen definitely has the advantage on board, but I mean, Eugene has more cards in hand. So
you can hear Ben Stark going on one of his famous rants here. He's giving his commentary about how modern current format limited goes. He said that in back in the day that there was a time when you would you consider drawing first more often, but the way that the cards are made, designed now, that it doesn't benefit you to do that anymore.
Yeah, I've actually had a few conversations with him on that subject matter.
I have as well. Wow. Here's his Righteous Authority that's going to go on the Opale Gatekeepers too, and Hohen just has to say, yeah, sure, you got it. Okay, well, the Dinrova Horror is going to stop any shenanigans, though. I got to say, you can't be too happy to bounce an Opale Gatekeepers, even if there is a discard step here for of an island.
Yeah, it was a nice play by Eugene Harvey, putting it on that creature, recognizing that Dinrova Harbor was something that they passed towards Hohen. So
also, Hohen just played a swamp.
I know. I said that right to Cuneo for a reason. I think Eugene is about my age, maybe a year older or something, but Cuneo's about 8 years older than
yeah, the Righteous Authority.
No, there's a little friendly teasing going between the two here.
Between Eugene and Hohen?
Between Ben Stark and Andrew Cuneo.
Oh, okay.
They're talking about their age difference. But they agree that they're all old guys. All right, a Dimir Keyruin. Hey, finally some pressure for Hohen Nakamura.
Yeah, Eugene and Hohen are two of the more soft-spoken individuals.
Yeah, that's why you were surprised.
Yeah, I was like, oh, really? They're trash talking?
Oh, yeah, they're just talking.
I'm really upset I didn't get a chance to hear that.
Yeah, you should have heard what Hohen just called him. All right, get in there for 2. Hohen Nakamura finally able to mount an offensive here, even with a really nice board, a 4-4, a 4-3 trample, a 3-1 flying, and a 2-2 that can become a 5-5. He still can't attack, and it's all because of Armored Wolf Rider.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Hohen is also hitting plenty of land drops here. He's got 10, and he just keeps dumping land after land.
Yes, this game slowly falling out of reach. Eugene Harvey drawing a lot of lands here.
Both of them.
Yeah, Hohen's drawn 10. There are, I guess, yeah, Eugene also drawn 10. Their boards are both just
I mean, this is just a classic stall out, right?
These types of games can be the most complex. I mean,
Yeah.
there are cards that just break games like this wide open, like Bluster Squall.
Yes.
But a lot of the time you don't have a card like that. So, yeah, even the Denrova Harbor, the Crown Saratok, there's nothing that can get through the Armored Wolf Rider. I'm interested to see what. Ooh.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Now, this isn't the one-turn game breaker, but he's finally made a threat that can just start doing tons of damage. Here, have a couple of dice. It's going to be an 8-8. Yikes. 8-8 flying Nimbus Swimmer. And that's going to put short work in on Hohen Nakamura here if he can't find something to do, but he's going to lead off with an attack for 2 to bring Eugene down to 19. Oh, so there was a trigger for the Sage's Row Denizen that was missed. I think they're just figuring out if that should happen now or if it should just be missed.
Yeah, I think it can just be missed at this point. I mean,
so.
Rules-wise. Right, so what can Shuhei draw here? What kind of cards have we seen past? We know there's another down and dirty in the draft. Not very good right here.
No, wouldn't do much.
He needs something that can kill a multicolored 8-8 flying creature.
Or something that can get all of those things out of the way and set up a one-turn kill for Shuhei Nakamura here. He does have his opponent down to 19. He's got, well, potentially 5, 8, 11, 15, 19, 21 damage if he's able to pump that Crawl Warrior. A card like Bluster Squall is one that could do it here.
And Nimbus Swimmer are going to start crashing in.
Yeah,
Probably
Shuhei is at 20 though, so he can take 2 hits.
Oof. Well,
jeez, that is going to change everything here.
yeah, that is a 10-10 flying trample lifelink.
Yeah, that is just an absolutely massive Nimbus Swimmer here.
Eugene going to jump back up to 29.
Yeah,
thanks to the unflinching courage that he just cast on that Nimbus Swimmer.
This makes it very difficult for Shuhei Nakamura to win. What was the split card in his hand? It's not far and away, is it?
That would be quite good.
I think the situation is super close, and I do not know what's right for him. Apparently, because like this is helping this, like you think like this is not close.
Okay, Shuhei is going to pull the trigger on some attacks now.
Yeah, he's feeling the pressure. He understands that he does not have forever to make this work.
No. He's going to attack with the 4-4. And Eugene looks like he says, you know, I could just block with the Wolf Rider, but in order to avoid a trick the best, I'm just going to double block here. He'd much rather keep the Wolf Rider on the table and just lose one of his 2-4s that isn't really doing anything. 27 for Eugene Harvey. What does Shuhei have that he can follow up with here? Well, he's got an island. 3. Is that a down and dirty? Yeah, that's a down and dirty. That was
another down and dirty.
A couple of them that we saw floating around.
I like that card a lot. I mean, it just produces so much card advantage. And now there's a Nimbus Swimmer coming down again? So what did he get back?
Oh, he must have recast his
okay.
Denrova Horror that turn.
That makes sense, yeah. So he was able to bounce that Nimbus Swimmer.
Yeah.
And then
which keeps it off his back for a turn. It also makes the unflinching courage fall off.
Yeah, which is really important in a game like this where you need to wait till you can punch through for that lethal hit. And if your opponent's getting 10 a turn, it's pretty hard to pull that off.
That's true. Man, Shuhei Nakamura is just hanging in there. He's down by a huge margin here. But he is still fighting.
Yeah, I mean, Shuhei, definitely a master, but in a situation like this, Eugene is at 27. You know, dropping to 25 now, but you can't like Shuhei's odds.
Oh, Cross de Gorgon. And somehow there's no counters on anything that Hoaen has.
Cross the Gorgon, just a solid card in its own, though. I mean, it is a 2/5 death touch.
Yep.
It
Unfortunately,
obviously
no
is.
flying here, though.
Yeah, and the it's really good in the Simic Black deck, like what Hoaen has, where you get to use it with the evolved creatures. So a lot of the time you make your guys small enough so they can evolve again, and in the meantime you're also killing your opponent's creatures. Obviously a nice thing to do.
Yep. Here's the Soulsworn Spirit for Eugene Harvey. It's going to blank one of the flying 3/1 Drakewing Krasis. It's also going to be an unblockable threat that is going to help speed up the clock a bit here for Eugene. He played a blue creature, so that was the trigger from the Sage's Row Denizen. And here comes the 8/8 flyer. One of the Drakewing Krasis is detained. Shuhei's counting. He's trying to figure out how much power he has. Can he take this hit? Can he take the risk of not blocking here if he has a specific out in his deck that can get him the win?
He decides that he's going to chump block here. And that 8/8 Nimbus Swimmer is still swimming through the air, cracking away at Hoaen over and over and over again. Hoaen trying to keep his head above water against this 8/8. So a card like Putrefy, obviously very good in a spot like this. Soulsworn Spirit, which on the other side of the table would have been pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay, Hoaen does have an answer for the Soulsworn Spirit at least. Runner's Bane. That's going to tap it and keep it tapped down as long as its power is 3 or less. And here's 2 attacks. The Gorgon's going to battle in. No really good blocks here. It's going to take down at least 2 creatures if it gets double blocked.
Yeah, and I think there's a pretty big chance that Eugene just says, okay, I'll go to 21.
Yeah. It seems reasonable.
Yeah, 21 does not seem that dangerous.
No. So still no lethal attack here for Eugene Harvey with his 8/8, as it looks like Shuhei's at 10 and content to take the damage here. He does just that.
Yeah, so now Hoaen all the way down to 2 life here. Next turn he's going to need a chump block with his Drakewing Krasis. And if Eugene is able to draw some type of removal spell, anything that taps, bounces, or kills that Drakewing Krasis, it's looking like he's got this game in the bag.
All right, bunch of mana. Geez, another Nimbus Swimmer? What's better than one 8/8 Nimbus Swimmer? I guess the other one.
I like Nimbus Swimmer.
I think it's a sweet card. And apparently Eugene Harvey agrees with both of us, as he's got 2 of them on the battlefield now, and they are huge. That's the kind of card Shuhei Nakamura would love to have in his deck right now, or on his battlefield for that matter.
Yeah, this can't be something you really expect. You don't think there are going to be a bunch of mutant fish flying at you.
Not 8/8.
With 8 power.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine a scenario where Shuhei can get himself out of this mess, but there are a few cards in the set that will do it. All right, he milled himself. And a draw step. Nope, that's it. Shuhei is going to concede, and that means that Eugene Harvey takes the first match for his team. That's a critical first match. It puts all the pressure on on the opponents, as they both are tied at 1-1 here.
Yeah, and they're going to need to win both games if they're going to want to have a chance here.
So let's start with Andrew Cunio here. Yeah, Andrew Cunio here versus Ben Stark. And there's an Alive and Well. But Ben Stark looks like he has a pretty well-developed board here, facing down just a 3/3 Centaur.
Yeah, the 3/3 Centaur does a good amount to stabilize a game.
Does it kill it or does it just shrink it?
I think it just makes it into a 2/2. So
Maybe a 1/1. Yeah, there's 2 creatures right there, so it's a 1/1.
2, okay.
So that's going to clear the way for an all-out attack here from Ben Stark. We're getting life totals updated as soon as we can here to try to figure out exactly what the board state is. It looks like Andrew Cunio's at 6, and he's going to want a chump block here.
Yeah, pretty much no reason.
Okay, and there's another 2-drop. Just a solid deck here from Ben Stark. We haven't seen any, big haymakers out of his deck, but man, a lot of 2-drops, consistent, 2 colors.
Angelic Edict, Grizzly Spectacle.
Yeah, just solid stuff. And then there's an Electrickery that's going to finish off the token. I was wondering why he blocked that token. This could be the last turn here. If Andrew Cunio passes the turn back and Ben Stark gets an attack step, that could be it. If that's the case, it would put all the pressure on the Martin Yuza Rich Hohen match. But for now, Ben Stark still has to finish this up. Oh, it looks like that's it. Richard Hohen has defeated Martin Yuza. Even though Ben Stark won his game, it hasn't mattered, as since Richard Hohen beat Martin Yuza, they have successfully won this first round.